Brush like a pro. Don't juggle your home life and work life without it. And don't forget who you're really working for without it. Funding to help grow your business. Another way we have your back. The powerful backing of American Express. Don't do business without it.
With my bladder leakage, the products I've tried just didn't fit right. They were very saggy. It's getting in the way of our camping trips. But with new sizes, Depend Fit Flex is made for me.
Introducing more sizes for better comfort. New Depend Fit Flex underwear is guaranteed to be your best fit.
People everywhere are getting clear skin results that'll blow you away. Get ready for a skin clearing breakthrough from America's #1 acne brand. It's called Proactiv MD. Check out how annoying blemishes disappear. Random blackheads dissolve away. Even red, painful pimples can vanish.
Pictures are worth 1,000 words. Proactiv MD definitely works.
The secret is a prescription-strength retinoid that you can only get from a doctor until now. Sold separately, the new Proactiv MD 3-piece system costs $45. But order before time runs out and pay only $19.95. More than half off.
Proactiv MD is the only thing that's worked for me. My skin has never looked this good.
Act fast and get our all-new charcoal cleansing brush, a $55 value, free.
Getting that brush for free? I mean, why wouldn't you do that?
Proactiv MD is guaranteed to work or your money back. Go online or call 1-800-585-1931.
Have you ever seen anybody make Memorial Day about themselves?
I do it every year.
Impossible.
It is about,
I do it every year.
No, you make it about you?
About me, yeah.
Can you imagine making Memorial Day about you?
I don't think anybody would do that.
No.
Did you see Barack Obama's tweet about Memorial Day yesterday?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's very moving.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Did you see John
So
McCain's tweet
presidential.
about Memorial Day yesterday?
Well,
I'm sure it was respectful.
No, it was extraordinarily moving.
Yeah.
Did you see Donald Trump's tweet?
Believe it or not, the president made Memorial Day about him.
Why should Memorial Day be different than any other day, Mika?
Tweet, quote, "Happy Memorial Day. Those who died for our great country would be very happy and proud at how well our country is doing today. Best economy in decades, lowest unemployment numbers for blacks and Hispanics ever, and women in 18 years, rebuilding our military, and so much more." Nice.
It's
Who thought that you could do a tweet that used the phrase "those who died for our great country" and also nice exclamation point in the same tweet?
Willie, not quite Ronald Reagan's soaring not quite Ronald Reagan's soaring rhetoric.
Some would say that's ironic.
Point to Hawk, as told to us by Peggy Noonan.
I was going to say, Peggy didn't write that.
It's hard to laugh.
Yeah.
Now, Peggy, you can tell Peggy did not write
that one.
Peggy didn't write it.
I counted, he got 10 words into his Memorial Day tweet before turning to the successes of his own administration. That Memorial Day is one of the most solemn and, for me, reflective holidays, where you think about from the Revolution forward, the people who died and gave their lives for the rest of us and ran into fire on beaches across Europe.
Yeah.
And to even have that thought, first of all, and second of all, to commit it to a tweet for 52 million people, it's pretty pathetic.
You know, it's something that this country got so wrong in the 1960s as our men and some women were coming back from Vietnam, but really understood the errors in their way, and so many people, everybody, it is something that unites us all.
Right.
Whether you're against wars and whether you're against some of America's military involvements in the past, all Americans come together.
And support.
And understand and support in a way that makes me really proud to be an American. Support the sacrifices of these men and women in uniform who give their all.
Give their
to defend
lives.
this country, give their lives, and you know, there's another way of looking at it, and this is how
yesterday some past presidents. Barack Obama wrote, "We can never truly repay the debt we owe our fallen heroes, but we can remember them, honor their sacrifice, and affirm in our own lives those enduring ideals of justice, equality, and opportunity for which generations of Americans have given that last full measure of devotion." Beautiful. George W. Bush wrote this, thinking today of David Wright, a Marine who died this month, and all the brave souls who have given their lives in defense of our country. May we honor them in thought and in deed this Memorial Day. Bill Clinton wrote, remembering, honoring, and thanking all who served our great country. Memorial Day 2018. George H.W. Bush wrote, very much regret missing the Memorial Day parade today in Kennebunkport, and forever grateful not only to those patriots who made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, but also the Gold Star families whose heritage is imbued with their honor and heroism.
All right. And
I mean, that just compared with the president's, it's painful.
Yeah.
Our president is so embarrassing.
So coming up, Donald Trump is sending spend another weekend attacking the Mueller investigation, plus what the president calls a phony source. Now, this poor guy he's got to feel pretty bad that the president says he doesn't even exist. Yeah. So the president, the president always attacks New York Times, Washington Post. The failing New York Times. The failing New York Times, which, by the way, doing better than ever before. Failing Washington Post, doing better than ever before. He attacks them and talks about phony news stories and tweets, and like 2 weeks later, they're all confirmed by the White House. Well, here, he actually even denied the existence of a source, said it was a phony source. It turned out to be actually a very real senior White House official who was giving the information on background
in the White House briefing room.
In the White House briefing room.
To dozens of reporters.
Yes,
to dozens of reporters.
At least it didn't take weeks this time for the truth to come out.
Also, North Korea summit on again, off again, on again, off again. We'll get to that when we come back.
On the day Starbucks closes their stores for racial sensitivity training, MSNBC opens a national dialogue. Join us for a discussion on everyday racism in America. Tonight at 9 on MSNBC.
I feel a great deal of urgency.
I think keep going and make a difference.
At some point, we're going to be able to beat ALS.
Because life is amazing.
So I am hoping for a cure. I want this to be a reality.
They're all going in the same direction, but in very different ways. And Pampers gives all of them our driest, best-fitting diaper. Pampers Cruisers with 3-way fit. They adapt at the waist, legs, and bottom with up to 12 hours of protection for all the freedom to move their way in Pampers Cruisers. Only Pampers diapers are the #1 choice of hospitals, nurses, and parents.
We'd heard of Angie's List, but we didn't really know what it did.
I know they've got reviews for home pros, but so do a lot of websites.
I didn't want to pay to join. Then I found out it's free.
Wait, it's free?
Free to check ratings, read reviews.
And Angie's List reviews are written by real customers. So I know the pros have done quality work.
And now they'll even match my project with a few qualified pros for the job.
And it's all free.
To get the most reviews from real customers, all for free, go to angieslist.com today.
In an era of online retail where everything is just a few clicks away, buying a car should be no different. That's why at Carvana, you can buy a car 100% online. We made it easy to browse, view, and buy from over 10,000 cars. You can even trade in your old car, all while binge watching your favorite TV show. Afterwards, we'll deliver your car to you, or you can pick it up from one of our car vending machines. Either way, your car comes with a 7-day return policy. So grab a seat, relax in your comfy pants, and enjoy the new way to buy a car at Carvana.
You totaled your brand new car. Nobody's hurt, but there will still be pain. It comes when your insurance company says they'll only pay 3/4 of what it takes to replace it. What are you supposed to do, drive 3/4 of a car? Now, if you had Liberty Mutual new car replacement, you'd get your whole car back. I guess they don't want you driving around on 3 wheels. Smart.
With Liberty Mutual new car replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
If you or a loved one has mesothelioma or been diagnosed with another asbestos-related cancer, call now. An estimated $30 billion in court-ordered trusts have been set aside to pay out claims to asbestos victims. You may be able to receive compensation without ever going to court or filing a lawsuit. Thousands of hardworking men and women have been diagnosed with mesothelioma because manufacturers put profits ahead of safety. Manufacturers knew the risks of asbestos exposure for years, but knowingly manufactured and sold deadly asbestos-containing materials, putting millions of American workers at risk. These manufacturers have tried to avoid compensating their victims, but the courts have ordered them to set aside an estimated $30 billion in trust money for the victims of asbestos. Call now to see if you're entitled to a portion of the $30 billion. You could receive compensation without filing a lawsuit or going to court.
Call 1-800-581-8243 now for a free legal consultation. Again, that's 1-800-581-8243. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Most incredible. Okay,
right.
We're not talking about this right now.
What?
Do you have any basketball clips? We're talking about basketball. First of all, Willie, we've got to talk about LeBron. Game 6 and then Game 7. Game 6, up there with anything Michael Jordan did. I mean, his three-pointers falling away, then driving the lane, getting fouled, and then Game 7 in Boston, extraordinary.
It is, and we were just talking about what makes it extraordinary is not just how great he is, which he is in the conversation now about Michael Jordan with no question, is that, with all due respect, the pieces around him are so much worse than anything Michael or Kobe or any of those guys ever had around him. He played without Kevin Love, who was the only other all-star on his team, to win Game 7 on the road in Boston. LeBron James is a once-in-a-lifetime player. We're lucky to be watching him as sports fans, as a competitor, as an athlete, and all those things. But what he did in Game 7, without much of anything around him, whatever happens in the finals now against Golden State will live in history.
Tatum, of course, a great and up-and-coming player for the Celtics. But have you all seen two teams as cold in Game 7 as the Celtics 2 nights ago and Houston last night?
No. Houston, what was 0 for 27, 0 for 37? Whatever.
27.
27 was quite extraordinary.
As great as LeBron was in that Game 7, if the Celtics had managed to be at like 30% from the three-point line, they would have won that game. But they were so horrible and so bad. Two terrible teams on the court together in that game with one great player, and that's it.
So let's in a conference finals. Let's be sacrilegious and do something that most people don't do, because everybody is like, oh, the players are such better athletes today, et cetera, et cetera. I'm telling you, if Michael Jordan's Bulls teams from the 90s...
I thought you were going to do the news. That was the
if Michael Jordan's Bulls teams or if Magic's Laker teams from the 80s or Larry Bird's Celtic teams from the 80s played any of these teams, come on, they would have destroyed them.
Yeah, well,
destroyed them.
So Magic is LeBron, except Magic's passing to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or James Worthy. Some of the greatest players who ever lived.
Michael Cooper.
LeBron's passing to people who are not James Worthy or Kareem. I think the Warriors, John and I were debating, I think the Warriors could have hung with some of those teams. But LeBron, that's a big load to carry against those Michael Jordan teams with Scottie Pippen and Rodman and all those guys he had.
Being able to go the ways they're able to go. Speaking of Dennis Rodman, now that the latest saga of President Trump's summit. Kim Jong-un. How about that? I was waiting for the magic word.
That's 11 years of chemistry.
Exactly. It's like Groucho Marx, you say the magic word, and
you're like Magic, and he's like Worthy.
No look.
A U.S. delegation is in talks with North Korean officials in the Korean border town of Panmunjom for ongoing preparations ahead of the president's canceled, yet possibly still on summit with Kim. A separate team is also in Singapore, per the White House. This comes after last Thursday, Trump sent Kim a letter canceling the summit due to recent, quote, tremendous anger and open hostility. But the next day, on Friday, Trump tweeted, quote, we're having a very productive talks with North Korea about reinstating the summit, which, if it does happen, will likely remain in Singapore on the same date, June 12th, and if necessary, will be extended beyond that date. Then on Saturday, Trump had this to say. Try and follow.
I just want to mention we're doing very well in terms of the summit with North Korea. Looks like it's going along very well. I think there's a lot of goodwill. A lot of people are working on it. It's moving along very nicely. So we're looking at June 12th in Singapore. That hasn't changed. And it's moving along pretty well. So So we'll see what happens.
So Richard Haass, this appears to be the we'll see what happens doctrine, at least in terms of North Korea. They're going forward as if this meeting is happening. They've got all the preparations that you would normally have for a summit meeting that's coming up very quickly, by the way, 2 weeks from today. Do you believe this meeting happens, and why is it significant if it doesn't happen?
Yeah, the unnamed NSC staffer said is trying to arrange all this in 10 minutes. So it's really, look, whether it happens or not is secondary. What matters is where the United States goes with this issue, where North Korea goes, where China goes. The summit is an event. It's probably a one-day affair. So the real question is, what is it we try to accomplish if and when we meet with North Korea? If we try to resolve this issue, if we try to be too ambitious, it will fail. If we're willing to take a small bite of the apple, for example, if we meet in Singapore on June 12th, and the president and his North Korean counterpart agree, say, to 2 working groups. One would try to get some kind of a mini package. We do, maybe lock in the North Korean freeze on testing. In exchange, they get some small things from us. If there's sort of a modest agenda, and then there's a big long-term agenda, which denuclearization is part of. But it might take years to define and decades to implement. If they have a meeting and it's modest, I think this can get things going on a positive course. If they have a meeting soon, and it's ambitious, right, they will essentially fail.
But it's impossible for a lot of Trump's new staffers to get up to speed. I mean, from everything I've heard, Mike Pompeo is doing a pretty remarkable job.
He's doing the heavy lifting on this.
He's doing the heavy lifting and doing a really great job at getting up to speed on this. But Heidi, he's got a new CIA director. He's got a new Secretary of State. He's got a new National Security Advisor. There's a lot of turmoil. He doesn't have his team together yet, at least not in a way that would allow them to properly prepare for this summit.
And he surprised everyone by even calling in the first place for the summit, even our own trading partners, and then now plunging forward with this meeting and having folks like Secretary Pompeo having to kind of fill in all of the blanks. The way that these meetings work, and we all know this, is that most everything is agreed to beforehand, and that the summit itself is kind of a formality. So to Richard's point, the question is whether we can find some kind of a middle ground that is going to be acceptable to us. Because remember, we set the bar for this very high in terms of total denuclearization, in terms of bailing out on the Iran deal, which told everyone, including our partners in this venture, that that was not going to be good enough. So what looks like a framework may be hard to reach in this by our own standards, but I think that is probably the best that we can hope for coming out of this. Not any kind of a final deal, but some kind of a framework. So what does that framework look like? Well, from the North Koreans' perspective, probably a freeze. There's no way that they're going to agree coming out of this summit to total denuclearization and all of the demands that we've put down. So my question to Richard would be, what would that framework look like?
Well, again, I can imagine a short-term framework, as you say, Heidi, correctly, some kind of a continued freeze on testing. In exchange, there could be diplomatic recognition, essentially maybe even an end to the formal state of war between the two countries, maybe certain economic sanctions relief. And then what we could say is, if you want more from us, you would have to do more. So you essentially have a modest track and an ambitious track. And I think what's so interesting is after President Trump announced the cancellation of the summit the other day, what happens? The South Korean leader and the North Korea leader they meet themselves. And it shows that we're not alone with this. And the South Korean leader in particular, President Moon, he wants and needs this to happen. So we are under pressure to have some diplomacy. And again, I think what the administration, if it's smart, will go ahead with the summit, and it goes soon, it would agree to a modest outcome of this and just set up different tracks. You don't have to try to solve it all in a day. Right. You need to set this in motion. If you want to get ambitious early on, then you have to delay the summit. If you want the summit to be a big deal, then you've got to delay it.
The run-up has been so hasty and tenuous, you wonder what you could want out of this. That could actually last.
I completely agree with Richard. Less is more here. Get the two leaders together. It's going to be hard for Donald Trump because he is a day trader. He wants the huge headlines. But what you really want here is less is more. Get the leaders together, get them to see each other face to face, start figuring out a way to have South Korea, China, and Japan drawn in to any talks. You've got to have them all drawn into any talks. Much better to have China at the table than having North Korea going behind our back and talking to China in Beijing. Get buy-in from everybody that sees North Korea as an existential threat.
That would be a big deal, by the way. You know, even though the president wants to solve this, even to institutionalize a dialogue that you're just describing, and maybe to get some stabilizing, confidence-building measures now, set up however many tracks of ambitious diplomacy down the road, that would be a big deal. Wouldn't solve the problem. It would be a big deal.
It would be best diplomatically. It would also be best politically. It would make Donald Trump look more Nixonian, and I say that in a positive sense.
Okay, but in a good way.
Where Nixon would have several summits with the Russians. It would be an ongoing process where he said we had great meetings. The next summit is going to be set up in November after the elections. Then we're going to meet again next year, and you build on it instead of going in there and saying you're going to denuclearize. No, we're not. Goodbye. And that's the end of it all, and it blows up.
All right, ahead, we're going to ask the former Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, about these developments, plus outrage after the Trump administration reportedly lost track of over 1,000 migrant children who entered this country. We're going to go live to the White House.
Have you noticed conservatives? I've seen conservatives really outraged about this, too. Eric Erickson and others. Just, not believing.
Thank God. It's incredible.
Not believing this policy.
It's horrendous.
What's been happening with it.
We're going to go live to the White House for the latest reporting on that. We'll be right back.
We always welcome anyone with a dream.
Amazing! You embody what it is to be a dancer.
That is on fire!
50 years after his assassination, what can we learn from Robert Kennedy? Headliners, Sunday at 9 on MSNBC.
This is the story of Green Mountain Coffee Roasters Dark Magic, told in the time it takes to brew your cup. First, we head to Vermont and go to our coffee shop and meet Dave. Hey. Why is Dark Magic so spellbindingly good, he asks? Let me show you. Let's go. So we climb, hike, see a bear. Whoa. Reach the top. Dave says Dark Magic is a bold blend of coffee with rich flavors of Uganda, Sumatra, Colombia, and other parts of South America. Like these mountains, each amazing on their own, but together, magical. All for a smoother tasting cup of coffee. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, packed with goodness.
My mom washes the dishes before she puts them in the dishwasher. So what does the dishwasher do?
New Cascade Platinum lets your dishwasher be the dishwasher. 3 cleaning agents dissolve, lift, and rinse away food the first time. New Cascade Platinum.
Well, it's been a long, steady decline. We were getting calls that she's in the hospital and the ER. The guilt comes in. It's your mom, and you love her, and you want to do everything you can to help her.
At Care.com, search for the help your parents need to stay independent at home. There are lots of local caregivers to help with meals, housekeeping, personal care, and more. It costs less than you think, and it's easy to pay.
We just felt an overwhelming sense of relief.
Join now, Care.com.
Welcome to Holiday Inn.
Thank you.
Wait, I have something for you.
Every stay is a special stay at Holiday Inn. Save up to 15% when you book early at holidayinn.com.
Get $30 off at blueapron.com/cook.
And the wolf huffed and puffed.
Like you do sometimes, Grandpa?
Well, when you have COPD, it can be hard to breathe. So my doctor said.
Symbicort can help you breathe better, starting within 5 minutes. It doesn't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden symptoms. Symbicort helps provide significant improvement of your lung function. Symbicort is for COPD, including chronic bronchitis and emphysema. It should not be taken more than twice a day. It may increase your risk of lung infections, osteoporosis, and some eye problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it.
Symbicort could mean a day with better breathing. Watch out, Piggy.
Get Symbicort free at saveonsymbicort.com. If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
It's time for the semi-annual sale with savings on the new Sleep Number 360 smart bed. It senses your every move and automatically adjusts on both sides to keep you effortlessly comfortable. And snoring? Does your bed do that? Don't miss the final days of our semi-annual sale. Save up to $700 on Sleep Number 360 smart beds. Ends Sunday.
With all of the data breaches happening these days, it's more important than ever to stay on top of your credit. Wallet Hub cuts through the clutter and makes it easy. It shows you important changes so that you can stop errors, identity theft, and fraud in its tracks. So go to wallethub.com and sign up for free. You'll see your credit timeline, follow it, confirm, or reject actions, and stay on top of your credit. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? Go to wallethub.com and sign up for free.
All right, current Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani celebrated his 74th birthday yesterday and marked the occasion the way
nice.
Many Yankee fans love to do it. He took in his beloved Bronx Bombers as they squared off against Houston.
Running bad luck.
Well, the stadium, you know how they do those birthdays in the public address system, announced the former New York City mayor's special day, and he was greeted with his very own Bronx cheer.
I've written about this in the Post for Washington Post a couple of weeks ago. Rudy Giuliani
loudly
was part of one of the greatest turnarounds for any city in the 20th century. Well, compare New York from 1988, say, to 1995, 1996. Extraordinary, and he actually was. He was a beloved mayor. He was America's mayor, taking us through 9/11. He had a great legacy in this city, but you see him on TV every day, and he's just shattering it every single day.
That was a small moment, but a major one if you think about Rudy's place in New York City. I was thinking about him sitting at the old Yankee Stadium during the World Series in 2001 in the weeks after 9/11, and the reception he got there and has by and large since then. But, he was also a respected U.S. attorney down in the Southern District who now spends his days bashing the Southern District and bashing the FBI. He's a different person, obviously, than he was in 2001. And the Justice Department.
And actually talking this weekend, Mika, about how they are basically admitting they are going to try to undermine the Mueller investigation, trying to undermine an investigation of the president. Even when most Americans say, even those who support Donald Trump say, let the investigation play out.
And there has been some movement in this investigation, unlike others of similar types at this point.
Well, I think Whitewater, Ken Starr, I think that went about 10 years. They got one indictment.
And they have how many now?
I have 19 or 20 right now.
Okay, and some guilty pleas. Interesting. They're not getting anywhere? It's not real?
No, they actually are.
When he wasn't taking any Yankee game, Rudy Giuliani spent his weekend calling former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper a clown during yet another television interview. We'll get the former Intel chief's response when he joins us live. We're back in 3 minutes.
This is a story about mail and packages. And it's also a story about people. People who rely on us every day to deliver their dreams. They're handing us more than mail. They're handing us their business. And while we make more e-commerce deliveries to homes than anyone else in the country, we never forget that your business is our business. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
I brought in new Max Protein.
To give you the protein you need with less of the sugar you don't. I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. New Ensure Max Protein and 2